Hello, welcome back to my channel. I have been watching a lot of knitting podcasts on YouTube and I really like them. And I wanted to try to do it myself because I love talking about the things that I'm working on and the projects that I've completed and like the yarn that I buy and silly stuff like that that I don't really have a lot of people in real life to talk to about. So I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try to do it every week to keep you updated with what I'm doing. And I would also love to hear like what you're doing down in the comments, like what your projects you're doing, completed projects, like cool yarn that you got. Like I love talking about that stuff. I'm gonna kind of structure this as finished objects, whips, and like things I've acquired, whether it's yarn or notions. And then I might talk about books sometimes because I do read a lot of books and sometimes I just want to talk about books. Let's get into it. I hope you like my kind of clown themed background. These are this is one of the first rugs that I made. It's really bad. And then this is my like clown blaster rug. This is like the last one that I completed. And I think can you tell the progress that I made from the first one to like the most recent one? Let me know if the background is distracting and I can do like a more solid background. Also, I have like an outline right here, which is from gessoing a canvas. The first thing I'm gonna talk about are my finished projects, and I am gonna keep doing my knitting vlogs. So some of this might be a little repetitive because I do often vlog the projects that I do. But I have 3 finished objects. My first one that I'll show, which is right here, is my Stripe Overload Polo, which I just posted a video on. This was really fun to knit. I have been wanting to design a cardigan with a little collar, and I saw this and I just thought it was so cute and I love the stripes. So I was like, I'm gonna try the pullover, and then maybe in a few months I'll try to design a cardigan with a collar. Not like the same thing or anything, but I just love the way the knitted collar looks. It's so cute. So this I used just yarn that I found at the consignment yarn store, and the only brand that I recognized was Malabrio. I love their yarn. I don't have the balls with me because I'm in the process of knitting a miniature version of this sweater with the leftovers, but you can see this, there's a little strand of it right here. The Malabrio yarn was the green silk mohair that I held with the DK weight mohair in green. And then I also used a lilac mohair, and I had a silk mohair that was it had a space dye, so you can see there it was lilac and then purple, and that's how I got that variegated purple effect. So this was really fun to make, except for the sleeves, but I always get it in a sleeve slump when I'm doing sleeves, especially in the round. And I have had people suggest to me to get the shorty needles for knitting in the round, and I think I should because there's someone walking by my studio. So I've had people recommend that I get the shorty needles for knitting sleeves in the round, and I think I will eventually. Maybe if there's an interchangeable set, I would do that, but I definitely struggle with buying too much stuff when I have things that I know I could make work. You know, I know I could make my size, I think I had to do size US 8 needles for the sleeves, and I have US 8 with a 40-inch cable, and so I'm I could just use those because I already have them. I don't know where that came from, but I just don't want to buy too much stuff. I feel I should use what I have and try to make it work. I think it's also an irrational fear that one day I'm not going to be into knitting and then I'm going to have all this stuff. But it's been about 3 years and I'm still into knitting, so wow, that was quite the tangent. Okay, but this was the Stripe Overload Polo, and then I did talk about some of the mistakes I made while knitting this, but the biggest mistake, which I'm actually pretty okay with at this point, was the cuffs. I did one in 2x2 by mistake. Everything was supposed to be in 1x1. So that is done, and that I did knit in a... Sorry if my camera is shaking, it's because it is on a tripod, but the tripod is balanced on two jars of paint, so it would be higher. Okay, yeah, this took me, I think in my knitting vlog, I got up to like day 8 or 9 of knitting, and that was very quickly, but I was in technical rehearsals, which are often like 12-hour days, so I was knitting for probably like 9 hours a day in all of those clips. So yeah, it did take a very long time. I just had a lot of time to work on it. So, finished object number 1. My second finished object is this little scrap yarn cardigan. Let me button it. This little scrap yarn micro cardigan. It has like super long sleeves. I was knitting this in my like knit with me in Central Park video. I was knitting the sleeve. So this is for a tutorial video that I'm still in the process of editing because I have like 3 hours of footage, but it is like a tutorial video on how to make this little cardigan. So that was my other most recent finished object. I do have a picture of me wearing this on my Instagram, but it's just kind of like a silly little project. You'll see it in the video. And I knit that with like size, I think I did size 8 needles, and then I just used like all of the sock, and I used like sock weight held double and like DK weight for pretty much all of it. Okay, and then I have another one that you've already seen, my Erica slip over. This was so fun to knit. I really love the stitch. And I like the way it came out. I think the yarn looks really cool. I did run into some issues with this, so I will be unraveling it at some point, but it was really fun to make. Like, look at that stitch. It's such a cool stitch. And then my last finished object, actually it's not, it's a whip. Okay, now we're moving on to our whips. So this, I'm trying to make some things to sell, whether it's like on my website or in person. One of my friends is going to be vending at a crafter makers thing in Oakland on the 31st, and although I have to work, I'm gonna give him some things to sell. So I'm also writing a pattern for this vest, but it is still a whip at this point. So I have my neck completed and I have the body completed, but I still have to do the armhole bands, the armhole rib. And this, I'm just using like leftover yarn that I had from various projects or like things that I unraveled. So this is knit with Wool and the Gang Take Care Mohair, and then the little like rainbow bits are Hedgehog Fibers Silk Mohair. And I'll be writing a pattern for it. I'll be making a couple more sizes, and it will be for sale somewhere. I'll let you know in the future where you can get some of the things that I'm knitting, because I gotta start selling things. I have way too much stuff. Okay, and then I'm starting another one. Like I said, gonna sell some vests. So this is knit with Loopy Mango Mohair So Soft is what it's called. It's just the rib at this point, and it's knit with like all the scrap yarn that was left over from my Fuzzy Wuzzy v-neck pattern that I have testers working on now. I'll put a little picture just so you know what I'm talking about, but this is all like the leftover red and purple yarn from that. And then before I had designed that sweater, I was gonna do something with like red, purple, and white. So I had like 2 balls of white. So those are in this as well, this vest. So one day this will be a vest. And then the last whip I have, which has been on my needles for months, literally months, I like started filming a vlog about how I was making this sweater, and I have no idea what I did with the footage because it was literally in December, but I wanted to see, like, one of my favorite things about knitting is how there are so many different ways that you can construct a garment with knitting, since you're like basically knitting yardage and shapes, and where like in sewing you would take fabric and you'd cut it and you'd cut the shapes and you'd sew them together and you'd attach them and stuff like that. In knitting you like knit all of that and you knit the things together and you can like create shapes with knitting. I just think knitting is so cool. So I wanted to see if I could make like a one-piece sweater, and this is what I have so far. It might be like really hard to tell what's going on because it is like a giant piece of knitting. But back in, I think it was like back in October when I did the Tessa cardigan. This is like so tangled. Back in October, I think it was October, when I did my test cardigan, which I did a video for, I had ordered way too much mohair, and so I had the blue from that, and then I also had dark gray. And so I have all the dark gray, because I did unravel that. I have all the dark gray in this sweater. Okay, like building up so much anticipation. Okay. So what we have here is, well, I'm sorry, I'm like really like hyping this up before I show you anything, but I think it's gonna be hard to show you and speak. So what I was thinking with this was that I would knit like half the front, the underarm, the back body, and then I would add the sleeve on and the other sleeve, and then I would just like seam it up in one place because I am knitting flat. So what I have here is, this is the front body, which has honeycomb cables. This is the sleeve. This is like so tricky to show. Okay, this is better. Okay, this is what it looks like. This is the front body with the honeycomb cable, and then it also has a twist. And then instead of knitting the sleeve on the top or in the round, I knitted it from the bottom, so it's open at the top. And the sleeve has twisted cables and then like a long rib, so you can see it's open there. And I'll just show you, like, if I drop it, show you what it looks like. I don't know if that like showed you anything, but. And then the other side, which I'm still working on, I have this. Okay, this is really tricky to show. Okay, this is the other sleeve, which is just in a rib. So it's gonna look like this. It is truly like a piece of art. Like, oh, let me show you the back. That's the back. And then this has a v-neck, so I'm like thinking I'm gonna knit the v-neck rib and like have it go down the sleeve. So it's a wild knit, and I put this down and I almost unraveled it the other day, and then I was like, you can't unravel that, like it's kind of like a piece of art, and I'm tempted to like figure out how I did this and grade it and try to release it as a pattern, because it's like kind of cool. Like, I don't know if I'm tooting my own horn, but I think it looks pretty cool. Like, what do you think? Yeah. So, well, I'm definitely gonna finish that and try to write a pattern for like some wild one-piece sweater. Like, that would be sick, right? A one-piece sweater. All right, moving on. Okay, yeah, and then I have two other whips that I don't have with me. I have leftover yarn from my Stripe Overload polo, and I did mention in that video that I want to make like a little top to go with it. I haven't started that yet, so it's not a whip, but I have so much of the silk mohair left in the green and the purple, so I'm making a miniature version. And I just started the collar, so I'll put a little picture of what I have so far. And that's just for fun. Like, it's kind of silly. I don't know why I find so much pleasure in knitting miniature sweaters. But I just like cast on a number of stitches, and then I just started following the pattern. So we'll see if it works. I'm not going to do the German short rows because it just seems like silly. I'm just going to do the collar and then join in the round and start working like a little raglan. My other whip is from the 52 Weeks of Socks book. I'm knitting the Erica socks, and I got this book and I'm like so excited to knit everything in this book. And I think it would be really great to knit socks and things for like gift. And I also kind of want like a smaller project to work on at the theater, because knitting that sweater at the theater was just like, it was like doing too much. So socks are going to be my next like backstage project for a while, and I want to do a series where I knit all the socks in the 52 Weeks of Socks book. So the first pair are the Erica socks. So far I've only knit the rib, and I'm starting on the lace pattern, which I'll continue to work on today at the theater. So those are all my whips right now. And then the last things that I have to show are a couple balls of yarn that I've acquired recently. This one I did start knitting it into socks a while ago, and then I unraveled them because I didn't really like them, but now I think I might make them again. So it's a little hard to tell what's going on here, but this is, it's like gray and white with like rainbow all over the place. And I do have the tag. I did shove the tag in here. I got this from Avenue Yarns in Berkeley. They have like the best selection of yarns in the Bay Area. I love that store. So this is Dream in Color yarn. The color is Tucson. I'm sorry, it's like, it does not look very nice. The color is Tucson, and it's worsted weight superwash merino. And they recommend needle size 7, but I was using size 4 and knitting some like very chunky socks. I had another colorway of this. Let me just get it. Okay, I have this colorway also, same yarn company. Same yarn. This is called Enchanted, and I used this to knit those socks for my grandmother from my like knitting socks in New York City vlog. And those socks I made with size 4 needles, and this is worsted weight like I said, so they're very, very chunky socks. So they'd probably be like really nice and warm when you need really nice and warm socks. So yeah, this is an entire ball. I'm gonna figure out what to do with it, but it might be socks. And then the last new yarn that I have are these balls of yarn. These are 100% cotton, I believe. Let me see. These are cotton linen, 60 cotton, 40 linen. The brand is Mojave. And these are each 185 yards and 50 grams. They're from Kelborn Woolens, and the color that I got is fuchsia. I got this yarn to knit the lime skirt by Lipple. It's either Lipple or Lipple. It's the lime skirt. So that's what this is gonna be. It's like an open stitch, a lace kind of mesh stitch skirt, and I think it'd be really cute as like a swim cover up. Okay, that's all I have to share for what I'm working on right now. Thanks so much for watching, and let me know if you like this kind of video or it's just like talking about what I'm doing. I don't know why I love those videos. Sometimes I'll just like put them on and like not even listen, but I just like love listening to people talk sometimes. I will see you next week when hopefully I have different things to show, more finished objects, new whips, all that good stuff. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you made it to the end of this video, leave me this emoji in the comments. Yeah, okay, bye!